Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sunil Rajguru, your host for today's webinar. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this live webinar with the theme of app, app, app modernization with Cloud Pak for apps and AI. For the duration of presentation, all participants' line will be on listen only mode. After the presentation, we will be having a question and answer session. Please be sure to ask your questions. Your feedback is very important for us. Please submit the feedback form at the end of this webinar. So, with that, I'd like to welcome you once again in this time of lockdown and COVID-19 crisis. People tell me what is 2020 to you? What is 2020? I mean, people say it's the COVID-19 epidemic, it's, the crisis. But I say it's not the crisis. I would say that 2020 is the year of the digital acceleration. Okay, that is going to be 2030. When we look back at this year, we will call it not the year of COVID-19, but the year of digital acceleration. Because whenever there's a crisis, mankind rises up. We always fight back, we always triumph, and we use technology to do it. So can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, so just I'll briefly introduce myself. I'm Sunil Rajguru. I'm the editor of PC Quest magazine and CIOL. And PC Quest is a technology magazine, and Cyber Media is a tech media house, one of the oldest in the country. So you can contact me in these details at the end of the webinar. So I think we'll continue with the presentation. Next slide, please. Yeah, so like I was saying, whenever there's a crisis, mankind rises up and we have a technological upgrade. Whenever there's a crisis, we upgrade ourselves. So let's look at the biggest crisis of the last 100 years. I think anyone would agree that World War II was the biggest crisis, and it was a tragedy. So while there was a tragedy, the best of mankind decided, let's make the world a better place, let's counter whatever tragedy is happening with us. So for example, I don't know if you know, the Nazis, they created one Enigma machine, and with that they were winning the war. They were able to get their communications across, and nobody could crack it. So the Allied powers, they replied with something called the Colossus computer. Now, the Colossus computer was probably the world's first digital electronic programmable computer. It wasn't ENIAC. So at that time, the advances they made in cryptography were like amazing, and till date, the internet is using it today. So you can say that the computer revolution began in World War II. Another thing was that the Nazis were blocking all communications of the British. So they came out with a system called code division multiple access. And well, after 50, 60 years, we used it for 3G data transfer. Then even rocketry, whatever research happened in rocketry happened in World War II. That led to the foundation of NASA. That led to satellites. That led to GPS. That led to satellite TV. So, I mean, it's amazing. And even the jet plane and the atomic energy, they also came as a result of World War II. So, basically, on one side, there was such a big tragedy, but mankind said, we are going to upgrade ourselves. So, I'll say that time there was a technological acceleration. Next slide, please. Yeah, so if World War II we had a technological acceleration, I would say that this is the era of digital acceleration. Because if you like get out of the lockdown, and that, I mean, luckily, one thing I would say is that I think the pandemic is still under control. If you look at the initial estimate that they had given us, I think mankind is handling it admirably. So coming to the technological part, you can see already we are having a tech upgrade. I mean, the whole world is working from home. It's being done seamlessly. All the collaboration tools have risen up. There are at least 10 or 12 collaboration tools. You can communicate with anyone in real time. The world has become flat. There are even 3D collaboration tools, sharing tools. And thanks to this, I can tell you there's going to be a revolution in the mobile workforce. Anybody will be able to work from office, from home, or anywhere in the world thanks to his mobile. And also, we're going to have a bandwidth upgrade, whether it's 5G or any other technology. You know, Elon Musk is launching thousands of satellites in space that will give us internet. I mean, who could have even thought of such a thing? So people are talking of drone internet, blimp internet. So that is where we are going. And also, if you look at like drones and it is a social distancing, no touch technology. So drones and connected cars, driverless cars, are going to play a huge role. You'll be surprised to know that technologically we are already there. We can manufacture thousands of drones, but it is only the legislation that is stopping it. But I think that also they're going to roll back, and we are going to go ahead. Then also you have like Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, I mean, for those who don't know, is like I'm using this laptop. So this is called the Internet of People. But if you have an internet device anywhere in the world where there is no person handling it, that is called the Internet of Things. And like one report says, we may have 500 billion IoT devices by the end of 2030. Already there are more IoT devices than human beings, and they can collect and transmit data without us being around. And to bind all this, it's going to be artificial intelligence. So as the data increases, as digitization increases, as we have immense digital acceleration, we will need artificial intelligence. So I think these are all the revolutions. So you look back after a few years, these points I've mentioned, and then many more which we cannot even envisage. So next slide, please. Yeah. So what I feel is, instead of looking at the pandemic or anything, I think we have to look at the way forward. What is the way forward? I mean, the globe is undergoing a technological upgrade. There is no doubt about it. Second, so your business, you have to upgrade your business if you want to survive. And second is, you have to upgrade your personal skills. So I think the upgrade is going to happen at three levels. One is at the global level, one is at your company level, one is at your personal level. And that, if you keep that in mind, you will ensure business continuity. And I'd say if you do that, you'll prosper. You won't survive. Because you look at from the Great Depression, you look at the Great Depression, you look at the dot-com bust, you looked at the 2000 economic crisis. Tell me a single time when we have returned at a lower market value, at a lower technology. We have always returned better. So we are going to return better. So, on this positive note, I'd like to end it. Next slide, please. Yeah, and now it's my pleasure to introduce you, Mr. Usman Memon, co-founder and managing partner, Stribo. And he will share his insights on modernize your apps with AI and get them voice and chat activated. Over to you, Usman.
Great. Sunil, thank you. And I think you laid the ground very well. Indeed, these are very interesting times. And indeed, we also feel both at Stribo and IBM that it is also an opportunity for our customers to leapfrog the competition, right? So for those of you who look at this as a challenge, will probably perish. For those of you who are looking at this change as an opportunity, will eventually survive. And over the next few minutes, what we will share with you is one such trend that is going on in during this COVID-19, and which we believe is an opportunity for our customers. So next slide. Um, Before I go into that trend, of using modernizing applications, of using artificial intelligence, of what's really going on. First, I'll quickly introduce you, to Stribo, to IBM, and what essentially we are doing here. So Hardik, if you can go to the next slide, please. So we'll cover, essentially specific trends of, particularly this COVID-19 era. We'll share with you over the next few minutes what customers are doing to respond to this, how IBM and Stribo have put together a technological solutions for customers who can then respond using app modernization techniques, using AI technology, using cloud technology from IBM. And then what are the tangible benefits of, such a modernization exercise? And I'll more importantly share some real world case studies and demos, right? So we'll showcase some of these technology in action, so you get a visual of what this new world really looks like. So, as a background, Stribo, we are, an IBM business partner. We are a digital transformation company. In very simplistic terms, we, build web applications, we build mobile applications, but we build it for the enterprise. And, we have a range of customers, right from Fortune 500, some of the largest banks in the world, Citibank, American Express, some of the largest insurance companies, Sun Life, Tata, AIA, and retail. So we work with a range of customers, primarily with IBM, helping them through their digital transformation journey. And while we are headquartered in Houston, Texas, we have a research lab in Ahmedabad, here in India, where a big part of our engineering team is based out of, and we are building some of these solutions that I'm about to show you in conjunction with IBM. Next slide, please. Right. So, like Sunil said, right, the world is changing, and check out this chart. Right, I thought this chart was very cool. It kind of shows the traffic of online purchase and the trend changing, especially over the last 4 to 5 months. A worldwide increase of 20% in online buying. Right, this is while this digital trend was going along all along, but what this pandemic has done, it has accelerated this consumer behavior. People who are used to walking into brick and mortar stores, people who are used to doing transactions walking into a branch, people who are used to buying an insurance by meeting an agent in person, now that trend is changing. Those people want to do all of these transactions online. Right now it's being forced because of the social distancing. But we at Stribo and IBM also believe that once the world goes back to normal as to where we are, some of these users ain't coming back. Me and Sunil, we were just talking before before this speech that we actually like the whole idea of working from home. So some of these people, I mean, I'm not saying we'll always continue to work from home. Office will remain an important part of our work culture, but it'll be more like a hybrid model, right? The next slide, Hardik, here's another interesting trend, right? This is again another research done by TechCrunch, a US-based magazine, and this shows the traffic of Facebook and WhatsApp over the last 5 months. 40% increase in the number of users spending time on Facebook and WhatsApp. That's huge. 40%. And what this means for us as companies, if you are a bank, if you're an insurance company, if you're a mutual fund company, if you're a retail company, what this means for you is your users are not only hanging out online, not only are spending time on mobile, like Sunil said, but in that mobile, they are spending time on WhatsApp. They are spending time on Facebook Messenger. They are spending time on these social media apps, right? And this trend is increasing, and the numbers are right in front of you. Again, if you look at this as a problem, if you have a brick mortar, traditional business, yes, it is on decline, right? Check this chart out. The blue line or green line, depending on what color you're looking at. That line shows the traffic of brick and mortar. The red line is the one that shows the traffic on digital. So for those of you who are in despair, saying, "Oh, geez, look at my traffic. Nobody's walking into my store." Then yes, it is. This is a threat. This change will, create a lot of problems for you. But if you are one of those companies that says, "Nine, this is an opportunity for me. If I do digital transformation, if I accelerate my digital journey, then I can capture that new traffic that is coming." Right? So we'll, with this changing trend, what we will share with you is how our customers, when I say ours, how IBM and Stribo customers are responding to this, and we are converting this threat into opportunities for our customers. Right? So that's what we'll share with you. And as you can see, this, numbers are right in front of us. Next slide, please, Arjun. So what does this mean? So if my users are hanging out on WhatsApp, if my users are spending more time on Facebook, then what we need to do as companies is create our digital presence on these platforms. And what at IBM and Stribo, we call this the conversational interface platform. Right? So in the old world, we built web applications, websites, started out with static dynamic, and then eventually became dynamic web applications. Then 2009, 2010, we started the whole mobile movement. Most of these web applications became mobile applications. And what we are seeing now with the advent of Google Home, Alexa, WhatsApp, Facebook, WeChat, is that a lot of these applications that were originally web and mobile now have to be extended to this WhatsApp, to the Facebook Messenger. Right? So if some users, your end constituent, be it your agent, be it your distributor, be it your customer, if they are pinging you from WhatsApp, is your organization able to respond? If some user wants to know pricing of your product from Facebook Messenger, are you ready? Can you respond? Or that just goes off to an email to someone? So we are helping companies build these conversational interface, extend their existing application to these conversational interface platforms, So now your company can have presence on all of these social media in a single stroke, right? So we'll share with you both how we are doing this, what technologies we are using, and I'll show you some real world examples of banks for companies that are using this conversational interface platform. Next slide, Hardik. So one of my, this is a great case study. ICICI, very well-known, brand. These guys rolled out a conversational interface for, for their banking platform, right, for the retail banking platform. And since then, 6 million, requests have actually come in. That conversational interface has responded to 6 million responses. That is an average of 1 million response per month. They rolled out ICICI on WhatsApp, right? That has a query resolution rate of 90%. Imagine the ROI. Right? So the minute you build a conversation interface, the minute you extend your application to these social media channels, the ROI is compelling. Right? Next slide, please. Another case study. Check out Redbus. Redbus, I'm certain a lot of you guys already know. You want to do your bus booking online. It's a aggregator of all the different independent bus units. They launched a WhatsApp conversational interface. They extended the redbus.in, even mobile app and web app, to WhatsApp. Now you could actually go in and find the status of your ticket. Now you can check your PNR number. Yeah, you can do your seat allocation using WhatsApp. Within 4 to 5 months, 38% of their traffic shifted to WhatsApp. People didn't want to go to their mobile app anymore because it was so convenient for them to just ping Redbus from their WhatsApp. That's where their users were hanging out, and they created a presence. And there you go. Redbus is again, continues to be a leader in this space. And again, what did they do? They built a conversational interface to their existing web and mobile property. Right? Next slide. Our own IRCTC, right? They are adding, they have added conversation interface. Our government of India Arogya Setu app, that has a conversation interface. So any latest technology that is getting rolled out, and for organizations, be it government or corporate, that are serious about digital transformation, you have to think conversation interface. Web and mobile, yes, I mean that was old school, that is important, it's the foundation, it's the building block. But the next wave, where our users are hanging out, is the CI interface. Right? My last case study is of an airline company. Next slide, please, Hardik. It's of an airline company, and as you can see again, guys, this airline company, Avianca, they rolled out a conversational interface, and this time they deployed on Facebook Messenger. People come in on Facebook on Messenger, and they ping and say, "Hey, what is can I allocate my seat here? Right? Can I change my flight schedule?" The waiting time. Check this out. The waiting time for check-in was cut by 50%. And within just 1 month, it responded to 4,000 conversations. So again, conversational interface, guys, huge. The trend, the numbers are there to see, and as you can see, the companies that adopted this, the companies that have built conversational interface, are really benefiting a lot. So now let me actually show you some real world examples of conversation interfaces that we have built for some companies. I'll show you a couple of 2-3 examples that will give you a fair idea of what a conversational interface look like. So my first example is of a bank, right? Just the way what we showed you to ICICI. And in this case, again, in the background, you see a typical web application. So I'm certain a lot of you guys have seen these web banking platforms. You've seen, I'm certain a lot of you are using the mobile banking platform of whichever bank you're banking with. What we are showing you, what IBM has Stribo have built here for this customer, as they modernize, this bank modernize their app with us using the Cloud Pak technology from IBM. What they got as a byproduct of this is this conversational interface. And now in this new world, my user doesn't need to worry about looking for stuff on this web application. My user can simply come in and start chatting with my application. They can simply come in and say, hey, I would just want to do a fund transfer. And by the way, this supports multilingual. So if you have a local Indian language that maybe it is Tamil, maybe it is some, we even train these for even English. So sometimes people use a combination of Hindi and English words. This conversation interface is advanced enough because it uses some of the latest cloud and Watson technologies from IBM, that it can completely manage all these transactions. And not only will this work on the web client, like it is being shown now, it will work on your mobile app. This same interface, like what Hardik is doing right now, he's actually doing a complete fund transfer use case, and the same will work what he's showing on mobile. And even on mobile, this will work on SMS and this will work on WhatsApp. So what we took is we took an existing web application or a mobile application that a bank had, and we extended it using the Cloud Pak technology to this, SMS banking. So all of a sudden now you can do SMS banking. That means for a bank, they can reach out to the remotest user that is probably in some rural area where probably they don't even have good connection. They probably don't have smartphones, but they have SMS. Now using this, the minute we put the Cloud Pak on top of the banking solution, all of a sudden it was ready to do SMS banking. Now the same application, mobile application, was ready to do WhatsApp, to respond from a WhatsApp. So this again, and the minute you bring in voice interaction, now all of a sudden this bank has an advantage where people who cannot even read or write, if they can speak, they can bank with you. They don't need to come into your branch. They can do voice interaction. They can do fund transfer with this. They can order their checkbook with this, right? Like this. So this is what we mean by app modernization. This is what IBM and Stribo means by app modernization. When we do your app modernization, we do it with both cloud and AI technology, which means your application will now start working on all these social channels. Another example right here in front of you, a retail. Again, this retail customer already had a nice web application, but when we showed them, yeah, look at these trends, they invested and worked with us. And then we again attached the Cloud Pak technology, and what did they get? They got a complete voice and chat activated site, which means now this furniture store will work on WhatsApp, it will work on Facebook, it will work on Google Home. People can place order using Amazon Alexa, right? So I could come in, and rather than surfing the site around, I could simply come in and say, I want to buy a sofa. Right? That's more natural for people. And there you go. It actually, this is by the way a commerce site, and it actually goes to all the way to the back end, brings out the latest information, from the product catalog, and the user can, maybe start the conversation in the chat and then, complete the transaction. So maybe the user liked the sofa. They said, yep, go to the site. So the conversation started on the conversational interface, and then we bring them to the web store, but we brought them to the right aisle. So it's almost like somebody walking into your store. The person meets them and say, how may I help you? You say, I want to buy a sofa. It helps you and takes you to the right aisle with the right product line, and then you can choose to finish your transaction on that web application. Right? So here in this case, Hardik is actually finishing up the entire transaction right on the conversational interface, and he managed to place an order. He's checking out, and he can do a complete checkout with credit card and transactions and such. And because we are using IBM's Cloud Pak technology, all this is it's all well encrypted. It is all well secured. Right? There is PI integration, so all the personal information is all nicely encrypted, and your transactions are secure, right? So that's why enterprises that are serious about security, that are serious about this data, recognize that I mean, sure, can you build this with open source? Yeah, but what if this gets hacked, right? So if enterprises that are serious about building scalable applications, secured applications, are the ones that are looking at IBM Cloud Pak and Stribo's DXA technology. What Hardik is showing you now on the screen is that same user who ordered the sofa on that conversational interface is now going to Facebook Messenger and is trying to track that, saying, hey, I want to track this order. Again, because we had used the Cloud Pak technology from IBM, the minute we added it to that retail application, now it's available on Facebook Messenger as well. And that same Facebook Messenger responds with the correct order ID, right? So this is bringing your digital experience to where your users are hanging out today, in this case FB Messenger. My last example that I'll show you is an HR application. And again, so we showed you two external B2C facing applications, but the same trend, guys, we are seeing even in inbound facing. So if you have an intranet, if you have internal facing application, distributor facing application, your agent facing application, in this case your sales applications, if you again apply the Cloud Pak technology on this, then this application will become available on even internal facing messaging clients. So whether you are using Microsoft Teams, you could be using same time, you could be using Slack, and then this this chat interface will be available, and people will be able to talk to your applications. And what this does for external facing applications, as we saw in ICICI, we saw in Redbus, it is increase in revenue. It is more engagement, better customer service. For internal facing applications, in this case, we are using an HR use case. A new employee walks in, doesn't know where to look for what information, but can come in. And if they are using Cloud Pak technology from IBM, then their end users will be able to come in and chat using their internal client and say, hey, who's the HR person? I want to see a profile of the HR person. And then it actually goes to the PeopleSoft system in the backend and pulls out the right information. Or maybe I want to apply for a leave, or maybe I want to do my expenses, and maybe then it goes back to the SAP system and does the SAP HR system and does the complete transaction. But again, the Cloud Pak technology, what it does, it takes these internal web applications, your intranet applications, and automatically make it available on these various messaging clients, right? For internal facing applications, our experience has been that it drives productivity. It drives more adoption within your system. Because see, again, people don't have to go look for this information. Even if it's a new employee and I can simply go in and chat, which is more, human centric, then, it becomes easier for people to look for information. All right, let's go back to the slide. So now I'll just quickly show you what is, so, okay, Usman, you made a case, okay, why we should move to WhatsApp. You showed us some data. Now we fully understand with these examples what you mean by conversational interface. But then if we want to get started, we also have a lot of web applications. We also have a lot of mobile applications. Yes, we want to modernize our app with IBM and Stribo. And we understand that once we modernize this using, IBM has a unique angle with modernization with AI. So our application will then become available on all these voice and chat channels. We get that. What technology should we use and how are you doing this? Right? And I'm a technologist. I like to discuss technologies. I'll quickly show you in the last 5 minutes how we are actually doing this and what are the underpinnings of the technology that we are using to make this journey. Right? So the first technology, next slide, we are using, which is the most important foundation of this, is the IBM Cloud Pak. Right? And IBM currently has 3 Cloud Paks: Cloud Pak for apps, and this is the most fundamental platform that we'll need. And this covers your mobile, this covers your web interface, and it has the OpenShift technology as well, which is containerization and makes these applications cloud and native cloud ready. Right? And in addition to that, if you want to tap into your backends, and if you have backends such as SAP, PeopleSoft, Salesforce, relational database, whatever you might be using, we leverage the Cloud Paks for integration from IBM, and that allows us to tap into these disparate systems and bring back data. Like when people chat with your conversation, they are not simply doing FAQs; they are actually doing real transactions. They are actually doing banking transactions. So it is this Cloud Pak for integration that allows us to tap into the core banking systems. Right? And then the last Cloud Pak we would need is the Cloud Pak for data, which particularly has the IBM Watson piece, which has the artificial intelligence piece. Right? And once we apply these 3 Cloud Paks on any application, you could be running this application on WebSphere, you could be running this application on open source, you could be running this application on .NET, WebLogic, whatever you have built this PHP, you can take your existing web app or mobile app, and the minute I put these 3 Cloud Paks on top of it, voila, your app is modernized, and then you get a conversational interface for your entire app. Now people can chat with you on WhatsApp. Now external facing applications, people can ping you from Facebook. Internal facing applications, people can do transactions from Microsoft Teams. And you will see it will drive both revenue, like we saw in the case studies, and it will drive adoption. Right? So next slide. Again, I showed you in some real numbers, but the fact is, the reason again we are using the particular IBM Cloud Pak is it streamlines your development, DevOps. It like I said, it makes you cloud ready, because the underlying containerization technology, which is Dockers and Kubernetes, and this came from the Red Hat acquisition of OpenShift, which is now IBM hybrid cloud ready. So that technology we apply, and then finally, like I said, we make use the Watson plugin on top of it and make the entire application voice and chat activated. I'll quickly show you a glimpse of that technology. So Hardik, if you could pull up the Watson interface of IBM, so we show our end users, at least the ones that are technologists like me, who might be eager, okay, how we are building this. So we are using this Watson Assistant interface. The example that Hardik has pulled up is, this is where we train the intents, right? So step 1 is we take your existing web application or mobile app or whatever you might, we install the 3 Cloud Paks on top of it: Cloud Pak for apps, integration, and then data. And then this Watson technology is where we go in and do the training for the intents. This is where we teach the artificial intelligence engine कि भाई, oh, fund transfer means this, or order a checkbook means this, या मुझे पैसे transfer करने हैं means this. So we train this AI engine with all these different what we call as intents, and once this intent is identified, once this entity is identified, then we pass it to the Cloud Pak for apps and integration. That in turn gets us to the relevant system of records and data, and that's what magically makes your entire application available on all these different social media channels. In a single stroke, all of a sudden you will have presence on all of these channels. Right. So again, to summarize, we showed you the trending data. Why moving to this? We showed you some real world case studies, companies that have moved to this new conversational interface and how they are benefiting it. And we showed you some real demos of what voice and chat interaction means. And finally, we showed you the underpinnings, the technology that drives this conversational interface and app modernization for both IBM and Stream. Huge business benefits. I'll show you one last chart that shows that the average payback for this is less than 6 months, guys. You'll be amazed. Yeah, the minute you put this Cloud Pak in and you roll this out, the adoption, because this is where, again, like I said, the users are hanging out, and this COVID-19, like Sunil said, is accelerating this whole push towards digitalization. So I think it's more a question of companies that won't do this probably might even fail to survive. That's where the new users are hanging out. They ain't coming back to the store or branches anytime soon, right? So as you can see, while the investment is there, but the payback is very powerful. It's 6 months. Again, it's IBM technology, so it's not open source or throwaway, but at the same time you get scalability, security, and just average price points. I wanted to kind of throw it out for my audience. So in case you guys are thinking, yeah, we want to evaluate this, like how much does this really cost? So we have two models from IBM and Stribo. We have a capex model where you can make investment upfront, or we also have an OPEX model. And the capex model, approximately, if you want to get started with a pilot or an MVP, where you could say, hey Stribo, hey IBM, here's our retail banking application. Go back to the capex retail banking application, and we want to convert part of this to WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, or we want to convert into internal a pilot. If you go back to the previous slide, yeah, thank you, Hardik. The MVP cost is about 25 lakhs. Right, and this includes some of the software components required from IBM, some of the services components required from Stribo to model the application and then train the conversational interface. And if you want to build an enterprise-wide solution for a medium-sized bank or a large bank, the investment would be about 2.5 crores. So again, I wanted to kind of give you some price point. Starting price point is pretty significantly low, and you can try this out, see if it actually makes sense for your end audience. And if you see traffic coming from these social media channels, then there you go, you have your ROI, right? And then you can start out with an MVP and eventually go to an enterprise-wide deal. Again, I know market is tight. Everybody's finances are tight. So IBM and Stribo have also come up with a creative OPEX model, which is a subscription model where Stribo and IBM will come in and make the investment, will make your application conversational interface ready, and we have an OPEX model which starts as low as 2 lakh rupees a month. So it's $0 setup, zero INR setup. There's no setup fee. You just have to you can sign up for a free trial and then go on to a month-to-month subscription, where again, it's for a very low investment. You can try this out. If you get adoption, you can always continue. If you don't, then we press a button, we go out. So again, it's for those of you who want to experiment with it, try it out. There are various very creative models that are available from IBM and Stream. My last slide just talks about, for those of you who are curious, want to get started. Hey, I have my banking app, I have my insurance app, I want to bring it on WhatsApp, I want to do SMS banking. Then we encourage you to sign up with IBM and Stribo for an app modernization and a CI garage, where we come in, we show you the app modernization Cloud Paks, we show you how to build these conversational interface. We'll take your existing application, whatever you might have, and we'll show you how you can surface it on these social media or internal chats, right? Like we said, we'll make it voice and chat activated with this conversational interface. So, and for the first 3 customers, we have a special going on where we'll also include a complimentary AI workshop. So drop us a note. My email address, our email address shows up on the next slide. Just drop us a note for the first 3 customers. we'll do a complimentary AI workshop. We'll train your team on how to build these interfaces. So maybe we help you get started with a little pilot and then enable your team so they can then digitize or accelerate the digitalization of all your other applications that you might be using both internally and externally. So hopefully the content was insightful. We'll pause and see if any of our audiences have any questions. By the way, we have a couple of polls. Sorry, I forgot about that. So we encourage you to take a look at these couple of polls. Please tell us if you guys are using voice and chat activators. We are curious about our audience. And there is another poll that this is the poll, right? So you can go into your the attendee panel and then you just select one of these. We are curious, are you guys using voice and chat activated apps today for your business, or are you considering it, right? So do let us know. And for those of you doing yes, we would also like to learn, what has been your experience in terms of adoption and what we are seeing. And then we have another quick poll, which is again this is for us and our opportunity to again get feedback from our audience. So as you guys are doing a poll, we'll again pause. And I also have my, I also want to take this opportunity to thank IBM that is always supported us both, in research and development. We work very closely with their lab to build innovative solutions and product like these. And then my colleague Manoj Barua is also on the line. He's our channel's head for India, and he's always, supporting us in events like these. The entire team, hybrid cloud team, the entire Watson Data AI team, including Prashant Sharma and the leadership. We want to take this opportunity to thank you guys and see if any of you have any additional comments or questions. We'll take that now. And Sunil, if you can please keep an eye on the chat window as well. Maybe you can also
Sure.
post your questions on the chat. And
Yeah.
by the way, here's the second question that we have. Do you think you can increase your customer reach with AI-powered apps? While we showed you a lot of case studies, what is your opinion? What do you think by taking these apps to social media? Do you think you will have a better outreach for it? Are your constituents, think about it? Are your constituents, where are your customers hanging out on these social media apps? Are they spending more time there? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And it'd be great if you can give us some feedback. Manoj, would you like to say a few words of closing, or and if there are no more questions?
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions on the chat or on the line?
None so far.
I
I
think
think
you
maybe some
can
people.
go on.
I
Not
think
so
you
far.
can. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, Manoj.
All right. Hey, thank you everybody for joining. This is Manoj here. Usman, I think great session, great insights. Today, as Sunil and Usman took us through the journey, I think a lot of clients today, as far as the current situation is concerned, are talking about how business partners, technology providers can help them in this situation, right? Whether they're struggling with business continuity, whether they're struggling with remote workforce, how do I support remote workforce? How do we really help them in the digital transformation journey? So Usman made a great point on a huge spike on digital payments. I think we were in a conversation with a large bank last week, and with the group CIO, and he was sharing that there's a huge spike on digital payments happening. Different channels like Aadhaar payment system payments are exponentially expanding in such channels. So I think yes, every crisis is an opportunity, and if you have any initiative going around, you want us to come back and talk to you on any one-to-one workshops, digital workshops, so on and so forth. We would love to come back and do that with you one-on-one. I hope you found this session insightful, and we can get into a detailed discussion with any of you who have given us a feedback. So I will leave it at that. Hope the session was insightful. You got a glimpse of how an application can be powered by AI. Multiple channels through which we are doing interactions today. The power of digital automation, so on and so forth. So do let us know, and we would really look forward to engaging with you in your initiatives and help you at these times, at the challenging times.
Right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. If you don't have anything else, Sunil, I'll be closing the call.
Acha,
Yeah, over to
just
you, Sunil. Yeah.
I just got one question. So it says that how do we manage solicitation ads on WhatsApp? I guess we can only do service messaging. This is the question that has come.
Right. So, good question. So, there are a lot of tools out there already for doing, WhatsApp broadcast. There are tools out there, to do SMS broadcast. SMS broadcast has been around for a while. What IBM and Stribo has done with this Cloud Pak technology is so far WhatsApp or SMS broadcast, was done, right? It was a one-way communication from my organization to my constituent, my end user. But now, what if that, what if I send somebody a reminder of payment? I'm Adani and maybe I send you my gas bill on SMS. By enabling Cloud Pak, now that end user can respond on the SMS and say, I want to pay my bill right now. And then because it's conversational interface enabled, then the SMS they get back is okay, fine. Do you want to pay from your credit from your checking account or your savings account? Right? And then that what became a one-way broadcast transfer has now become a two-way communication on SMS. What was a one-way broadcast transfer on WhatsApp? Hey, here's a special offer, to buy this grocery. Okay, I want to buy right now. And because they are using Cloud Pak from IBM and the technology from Stribo DXA, this WhatsApp now automatically responds and says, okay, well, let me take you through the whole purchase experience, and whether using UPI or whatever, we can do that complete transaction. So, short answer, yes, there are a lot of WhatsApp broadcast toolings available, but more importantly, this Cloud Pak technology even takes it a step further. You can do a two-way communication with your constituent once you have sent out the offer.
So another question I've got is they are related to security. How does the integration happen? What happens if there's a breach? So somebody is curious to know about security.
Right. And in this world where cybercrime is so prevalent, this is that happens all the time, right? Especially I've seen this in my experience. You see, I'm only 45, but I have a lot of these gray hair. Each of these is like go lives that I've seen at some of the largest banks and insurance companies around the world. And I will tell you from experience, and this is exactly, Sunil, why if you look at the top 10 banks, whether be it in India or around the world, you will see they are using IBM. Right? This is why they understand that they are paying a premium when they work with IBM, but they also understand that they can they can sleep peacefully. They know that there is a phone number, 800 number, that they can pick up, and some of the top engineers from around the world from the lab will come in, and even before this hack happens, these patch releases, these update releases that IBM constantly gives out is what keeps our wall secured, what keeps our customers vault secured. And that's why we believe in working with a large company like this who's spending so much in security research and such. Manoj, would you like to add anything here?
Yeah. Just to add a point here on the security piece, right? I understand totally that when we're activating all applications on the web, there's an element of threat out here. So if you really see the cloud packs today have an underlying technology, right? Where let me just give an example. We didn't speak about the cloud packs in detail. However, cloud pack for multi-cloud management has an element which is a module called the event management module. So today, any kind of incident which can happen in application infrastructure or setup which is being managed remotely, incidents alerts can come up proactively to an engineer who can work on remediation immediately and ensure that the business service is available and up and running, right? So how do you really minimize your outage? How do you get proactive alerts from the predictive insights and resolve the particular incident quickly? So those kind of automation is already available in the cloud technology across.
Right. Good point, Manoj. Right. So Sunil, as he highlighted, both not only the
Yes.
secured, encrypted algorithms, so no hacker gets in, but even if
Right.
something untoward happens, then proactive alerting, and notifying the right people with a big company standing behind. That's why, again, if you have, a simple application, if you're a small company, yeah, I mean, probably open source and all that is fine. You probably carry a much slower risk. But the segment that we work in, the enterprise segment, that we work in, we see that companies often go with large companies like IBM.
Yeah. So I think there's maybe one more question. Somebody has asked, how can we make the shift without burning a hole in the pocket? So I think he was referring to that.
Right. And
That scale
I
up,
don't know if
scale
you
up.
missed our, yeah, if you missed our slide, we not only have a MVP model, a capex model, which starts very low as 25 lakh, is that's the capex pricing. But more importantly, we understand that right now there's a lot of funding crunch going on. So IBM and Stribo creatively introduced a subscription model. For those of you who are tired, you can even start as low as literally 2 lakh rupees. And then
Okay.
if you see adoption, if you see more business coming in from new channels, then you can start scaling it up, right? Then you can go enterprise wide. And at the end of the day, I don't want you guys to look at it as an expense. You have to look at this, guys, as an investment. In the old world, our businesses, when they used to buy a branch or when they used to build a building or a factory, that was investment. This is a digital building that we are building, and if we don't build this, then we might even fail to survive. The new world is all going digital, right? So this is just that, like Sunil said, that accelerating, that journey because of this COVID situation is accelerated. So please don't look at it as an expense, look at it as an investment. And again, yes, there is some premium you will pay for working with Stribo and IBM. At the same time, we give you that secured, scalable. There is a reason IBM has been put on number one on the Gartner quadrant. They are on the extreme right hand corner, right? And then that's what they charge the premium.
So I think that's it with the questions. Any last words, Usman and Manoj, before we end it?
Now we both want to thank PC Quest and
Uh,
Cyber Media. Sunil, thank you for hosting us on your
sure.
show. We
Yeah.
really enjoyed our time, and hopefully our audience and both everybody found the content insightful and engaging. Thank you.
So anyway, I would like to thank Usman and Manoj for that enlightening session. And on behalf of PC Quest, Stribo, and IBM, I would like to thank all the participants for taking time. We hope it's been useful for you. And please don't forget to send us your feedback forms. So thank you very much.